interesting, the dynamic between Indians and Asians, because we look at you guys like white people look at us. Because when white people say, look at the Asians, they're so good at math. They're taking all the tech jobs. They work so hard.
The other Asians are looking at Indians
and
like,
then,
oh my God,
Chinese,
look at the
at least
Indians.
Chinese, look at the Indians. They're like taking all the tech
The Indians
jobs.
look at the Chinese and the Japanese.
No. But the difference is they're Indian managers. They're Indian. A lot of Indian people in the management within the tech company.
Disproportionate rate compared to Chinese people.
Yeah, but Chinese people are coders, but then they stop at a certain point.
Interesting.
So that's why Chinese people always talk about Indian people. Like,
is this true? Is there a sweeping trend of this particular phenomenon?
just think about it. The CEO of Google is Indian.
Yeah.
And that's just a very good example. And there are a lot of, Indian people who start companies or middle management, even like higher management. But Chinese people think they can get a pretty good job being a tech guy or senior software engineer, but that's it. Like they can't really climb up.
Interesting. Okay.
But Indian people, they can, and they also have those like outsourcing companies.
Yeah.
Who they can just like take people from their own country and just like they're really, united together and ascend together. We certainly lack that kind of ability because as soon as we have something, we just try to fuck each other over instead of moving.
I realize
together.
that's what a lot of what it means to be Asian is, just to be better than other people. It's like a lot of strong Asian values are like, look how much better you are than these other people.
It's
like,
weird because a lot of Chinese people. I'm not in that group because I'm not in tech. But
yeah,
I'm talking about people who are like in tech, super competitive, but they always had this kind of attitude of part jealousy, part admiration, and part, distaste about Indian people. It's a weird dynamic.
Okay. We're the Jews of the Chinese world, is what you're telling me.
You're the Jews of the Asian world.
Indians are the Jews of Asia.
Sort of.
I mean, the Jews are the Jews of Asia.
I would say you're the Asians of Asians. Like we're the Asians of whites.
Okay.
Like
we're the Asians of the world, and we're
the Asians of Asians.
In that, like, given that paradigm, we're the Asians of Asia.
And I tell you a very good example.
Yeah.
Like in the Bay Area, right?
Right.
The Bay Area has the best school districts in the United States.
Okay.
And we're talking about Cupertino, Palo Alto.
Right.
Like really amazing
public school.
Right. But the problem is to be able to be in the very good school district, the housing price there is really high.
Right.
We're talking about homes are like $2.5 million minimum. So what Chinese people would do is they're like, I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to work so hard and I'm going to make so much money so I can afford a house in that district so my kid can go to a good school.
Right.
What Indian people do is we are going to we're going to rent the place with 4 other Indian families. And the 15 of us will all live in this very expensive home that I can afford myself, but if we put our money together, we can do it. And our kids go to the same good school. And
smart.
Yeah, smart. Chinese are like, oh, that's insane.
That's interesting.
But, the goal is achieved.
It seems like
whatever
what you're saying is Indian people are more thirsty. So
no, resourceful. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's really thinking outside the box.
It's true.
You're like, why? I can just do it now by doing this. But Chinese people are like, oh, I'm gonna do this, but I have to be rich first to afford a house. I buy a house and my kids go to the school. It's like, no.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that India was like basically enslaved by Britain till after World War II, right? Like,
okay.
So I think they weren't independent till very recently.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like China's been an independent country like to a greater extent for much longer.
Thousands of years. We were colonized for a little bit, but
we were
most
colonized
of the time. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Okay.
So far as I know anyway. But like I wonder how much that has to do with it. But like any Indian person will tell you that there isn't enough unity in India. Like that's also, you know what I mean? Like because there's so many different kinds of people like in such a tiny little space in India. Like, I might go extra hard for like my family and like the people that I know. But I feel like Indians aren't necessarily rushing to help a different kind of Indian
Okay.
as immediately.
So the caste system still.
Caste system is still a thing, but like it's more of like cultural differences. Like,
Okay.
just, you know, if you're from a different part of India and you don't speak the language, like already there's a divide now, right? Like
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I'm like sufficiently removed from like Indian
The
culture
environment
proper.
since you
like,
were 9. Yeah.
yeah, like it's for me. I don't necessarily even know if I have an appropriate frame of reference to be like making these judgment calls.
Yeah.
But I have heard these criticisms about Indian culture from my dad, and I don't know if he's just a racist or not either.
What's the criticism? I think it's a good thing about being resourceful and
Well,
really.
no, not about being resourceful, but just like, you know, like not as unified as you might like to think that we are. You know what I
if
mean?
you guys are not unified, that Chinese people are fucked.
Like incredibly not unified. But
Yeah.
like that's, I mean, you say that, but then I feel like especially in LA, you know, like especially, I mean, this part of town, like you'll see those giant buildings
Yeah.
where it's just like 12 Chinese businesses, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And how many of them make that much money, right? Like even like the dim sum place that I went to,
Yeah.
it was like in this sort of cross section of
Yeah.
streets where I look around and all the signs are in Chinese.
Yeah.
We figured, okay, maybe there's like 30 businesses here, but you have to throw into some kind of conglomerate, right? To
Yeah.
like
yeah.
make this establishment
Yeah, this is our
possible.
turf. Yeah.
Exactly. That didn't happen by accident.
There's no Indian town, right?
There's no
Chinatown.
India town.
Oh,
There's only
interesting.
Cerritos. And it's like a couple of streets.
Interesting.
And I think there's like there's little pockets. Like someone told me that in Inglewood there's like a significant Indian population.
Inglewood.
Yeah. And there's some good Indian shit out there. And like, yeah, up here in the valley. So I think it's, you know, it's here and there. Garden Grove.
So you think they should, I mean, so in a nutshell, you're complaining why Russell Peters hasn't asked you to open for him.